are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 99 of the College Loop Podcast. We are just one episode away from episode 100. And, to start off with Daniel. Daniel, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, Dylan, I'm glad you asked. I'm doing very, very good. I had some Sonic for dinner. Was covering the Braves game for Braves tonight. So it's a very, very exciting game. A Michael Harris tag up in the 8th inning is what put the Braves over the top 6-5 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Jose Iglesias worked his ass off to try to blow it in the top of the 9th inning, bottom of the 9th inning, but he didn't. So that's good. So if you're a Braves fan like Tarr and me, kind of go check out my work there. And now I'm here talking to Dylan and Harrison about, everything ranging from O.J. Simpson to what we do on Saturday nights. So that was a long ADHD-filled conversation, but now it's time for Auburn Athletics.
It is indeed time for Auburn Athletics, Daniel. And, we were, for those of you listening to the show, obviously it doesn't make any difference to you because the show comes out on a schedule. We tried to start recording this an hour ago and went full ADHD. And I don't regret it for a minute. I miss you guys like hell. I'm ready for us all to be back in one place, back together on the plains, the promised land. And it's always fun. Our staff meetings, I use those in air quotes, always turn into some kind of ADHD fest, talking about random stuff ranging from literally anything to anything. And I wouldn't trade the world for them because if we didn't love each other, we wouldn't be on this podcast together.
And sometimes one of our father's work laptops just starts talking out of nowhere. So you have to go talk to your parents' coworkers for a minute and figure out if you need to go wake your dad up or not.
That's right. It's the randomness like this that makes me so appreciative for the camaraderie that the college life has brought me. All right, loved you guys beforehand. Continue to love you guys to this day. So for those of you guys who wonder if we actually like each other, if you were doubting that, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. You owe me that.
And if you're not doubting it, like, subscribe, and ring the bell as well.
That's right. But yeah, Dylan, ready to talk Auburn ball. Jarquez is back at camp. Everyone quit hitting the panic button. All is right in the world. Lots going on. So I'm going to hand it back to you, my man.
Yeah, the thing I never understood about Jarquez Hunter not practicing is the fact that he was still in the building. Like, it wasn't like he was just banned from being around the team at all or just banned from all team festivities. He just wasn't practicing. And to be honest with you, Jarquez Hunter is the best player on this team. He didn't need to practice, really. And the scheme.
We talking about practice.
We talking practice? And this scheme is going to be very, very running back heavy, and it's very easy for running back to learn. And when it comes to Jarquez Hunter, I mean, he's just going to take that ball and he's just going to go north, south, east, west with it. And he knows what he's going to do with that ball. But people were panicking. I don't get why. He did a stupid thing. He got punished for stupid thing. I'm going to say punished for stupid thing.
It's not even, honestly not even worth talking about. Like, it's amazing. Other than the fact that he's returned to camp, which is worth talking about, and then he's working in that offensive scheme. All is right in the world. What was it, 4 days? Then he missed the camp? Whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
let's be honest, guys. Like, who the hell cares? Jarquez Hunter's going to do special things with the football. And Auburn is certainly infinitely better with him in their repertoire. And I don't think there's ever a concern about whether or not Jarquez Hunter is going to be part of this team. But now, fellas, we know for a fact, and we can say with confidence, that Jarquez Hunter will be part of the three-headed monster.
Yes.
If not more. in that backfield.
Pending Robbie Ashford.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even without Robbie Ashford, Jarquez Hunter, Damari Alston, Brian Battie, and I mean, how long can you keep the man that just walked to the building off the field, right?
Yeah. I would say the concern was never when Jarquez Hunter was get back on the field. The concern is always who is going to be handing him the ball.
Yes.
And that still remains a concern because we've yet to hear if that's been narrowed down at all. So that's probably still a three-man race. It probably will be a three-man race until, again, the UMass kick at 2:30 on September 2nd.
That's right. At 2:30, which I went back to listen to the show, checked our facts. I apologize to Daniel. I'm sorry. But Daniel, Jarquez Hunter's back. We can take people can take their hands off the panic button, right?
Yeah, definitely so. And, when you're dealing with a situation such as that, that's all I'm going to say, It gets a little tricky, depending on who's involved and stuff, but it appears the university's worked through it. Everything's fine. So now back to ball, your regularly scheduled programming, and this running back room is going to be so much fun to watch.
Nuts.
All of these guys can ball. That's what Philip Montgomery was saying earlier this week. And, if the offensive line can get a little push, having this option, having this backfield to bail out Peyton Thorne or Robbie Ashford or Holden Garner, or who are we kidding? We all know Hank Brown, QB1. Having this option to kind of bail them out, it's going to be great. And just the offensive line, that's kind of what I'm really focused on right now with this offense. Is I want to see what Gunnar Britton and Dylan Wade, because I would bet a lot of my blood that they're going to start. I'm interested to see what they can kind of do, and just I'm a lot higher on this offense than I was a week ago.
Certainly, and that goes beyond just Jarquez Hunter's return, but
Sure.
I think this offense is in much better shape than people give it credit for. I saw a report from Big Game today with his projections of leading Auburn out of a bowl game, without really going down that rabbit hole. The sleeping on Auburn's offense, I've never been one to be like, oh, keep sleeping on so and so, whatever. It's a little ridiculous right now, and just indicative of the fact that people really don't look much beyond last year unless you're one of the perennial powerhouses that they're preying on their downfall. This team's going to be a better offensive team than people think they're going to be. And Jarquez Hunter certainly only helps that. That's kind of, I think, the nice little bow that I want to put on that, Dylan. I don't think there's a ton there. But Auburn football fans are excited for football to be back. We're ready for college football in general to be back. We've been chatting about it a lot. Fan Day is right around the corner.
Yeah, have any of y'all ever attended a fan day?
I've not. Not for Auburn. Not for Georgia Tech.
They are a lot of fun.
I have for Indiana.
Get a lot of autographs, get pictures. I have a nice picture of me in, I think, 2015 with a nice picture with Jeremy Johnson.
Heck yeah.
And that was in Auburn Arena at the time. And we were waiting at the doors whenever they opened, me and my dad, and I sprinted myself to the Jeremy Johnson table. And he was the first person I got an autograph for.
There you go.
And that'll always be a core memory of mine, because that was the year I said Jeremy Johnson was going to win the Heisman, and I still think he can. I still think he can do it. Hey, he's already the offensive MVP.
At Hoosier Hysteria in 2018, I met Freddie McSwain Jr., who is one of my all-time favorite collegiate athletes. Such a nice guy, currently balling out in Europe. And, yeah, I've got a pretty rocking bowl cut going on in that picture.
Bring it back, Daniel.
I say bring it back.
If this video gets 20,000 views in 2 weeks, I'll get the bowl cut back.
Oh, I am going to be paying for views, break the bank for those.
Worth every penny.
And it has to be proven that the views were clean and organic and not bought.
You can't do that.
Kind of going back to Fan Day really, really quickly, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but what does a Fan Day look like at Auburn? Like I said, I'm not familiar with. Growing up, Dad would take me to Georgia Tech Fan Day. For those of you who don't know, my father is a Georgia Tech alum, so I grew up a Georgia Tech fan. Kind of know what that looks like, in terms of autographs, meet the players. What does that look like at Auburn?
So I'm gonna bring it back to 2013.
Oh boy.
It's a fan day I remember a lot of because the return of Gus Malzahn, and it was freaking loaded with people because new coach, new year. You're really excited for what it's going to be, and you kind of want to see, kind of test the waters of how the players react to the fan experience. And I just remember the lines went all the way around the arena for anybody and everybody. And I mean, later on, it's just always packed. It's always a lot of fun, and you can talk to literally anybody. But it's going to be it's going to be part of the football facility is where I believe it's going to be, because that's a bigger area and it can house more people. But it's a place where you will not find a single person that thinks Auburn's going to go 5-7 or below. I'll be honest with that, because that whole area, the aura of that room is like Auburn's going to go 15-0 just because of these vibes in here alone. But you're going to have your players that people are going to load up and line up for first, and Jarquez Hunter is going to be one of those. DJ James might be one of them, and the quarterbacks are always going to get love, and it's just a fun experience. And if we didn't put the time out already, it's at 2:15, 1:15 if you're an On to Victory supporter. But again, it's just a lot of fun. Get pictures with your favorite players, and I want to see a picture of Mike G with Jay Fair. I need to see that in my life, especially after Montgomery came out and said that Jay Fair is an electric player, and that kind of adds to the little bet that he's got going on with a certain unnamed journalist that I know of, at least, who might have to embarrass himself on social medias for that. But yeah, fan day is a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Certainly excited for fan day, and the Auburn fans, are excited for fan day. I hate that we can't be there. The most important news of the week, period, it clears everything, and I'm being so genuine. You can roll the Oaks again at Teamers Corner, and I know that they've received a little bit of pre-rolling action, but I fully expect for them to be completely covered following Auburn's presumptive opening game win that we've already projected here in the College Loop over UMass, the Minutemen. Guys, it is so damn cool to see how Auburn, as an entity in the Auburn family, has really honored and respected the fact that someone really shitty did something really shitty, and that's kind of all I want to say about the previous situation, or that situation with the Oaks. It is really cool to know those Oaks were the parents for the new ones, and that it's now recovered enough, and that nature is literally healed on its own, and thanks to the fostering of the Auburn family, this tradition should never die. I get sick and tired. It happens every year. People saying, "Oh, this is a giant waste of resources." Auburn's so cringe for this, whatever. It is one of the coolest traditions in college football, in college athletics, for that matter. And the fact that the Oaks are back, that is genuinely the biggest news to come out of Auburn, Alabama, that not enough people are talking about, because Auburn is, if nothing else, rooted in tradition, in the best way possible. And that list goes far beyond rolling the Oaks. Hell, Dylan and I parted that seal like a 50-foot radius while we were in undergrad. And the list goes on and on and on, right? The ring tradition and things of that nature. The lathe, even
you gotta take your girlfriend to the lathe.
Right.
I'm trying to plan a trip for me and Lauren.
It is so cool to see that this tradition has fully restored, and even cooler that it never left. And that Auburn fans found a way to, obviously there's a lot of trees there, but also continue to build that tradition while also respecting the fact that, this needed to heal. It would be pretty poetic if Auburn beat Alabama this year.
It'll snow in Auburn, Alabama.
It certainly would regardless. But yeah, I thought that was pretty damn cool. It's something we definitely need to talk about on the show. Not a ton of there's no controversy there. There is no controversy.
And
awesome.
I don't want to call y'all out, but y'all weren't fans at the time of this when it originally happened. But the way that the Auburn fan base every Auburn fan hated every Alabama player on the team. You just did. But you had an entire fan base. You probably had the entire college football world pissed off at one piece of person. And dude, I don't think I've ever been more mad in my life than whenever I heard that happened. When you heard the call that he's got too much Bammer in him.
Yeah, that's just kind of something I want to say. If you care about sports that much, and this is coming from a diehard sports fan, you genuinely need therapy. This is a game played by 18 to 22-year-olds, and if your team loses, whatever, suck it up, go about your day. It shouldn't be anything more than that. So, in this state, there are a lot of people, and typically they're not the ones in orange and blue. They're the ones who wear those other colors. You people need to check yourselves.
I will say from an outside.
I'm sorry, Dylan. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm just going to chime in from an outside perspective. In 2013, excuse me. At that point in time, rather, excuse me. Finding out that the Oaks at Tumor's Corner had been poisoned, mind you, as an outsider perspective, someone from Georgia, we were kind of familiar with Auburn, and my dad went to Tech, in the late 80s or the 90s when it was a huge rivalry between Auburn and Georgia Tech. And most people of his generation, Dad has fully embraced the Auburn culture now. It's all good. We did the Lord's work. But most people in that generation still consider each other school a rival, and which is why it's so important that they keep playing baseball, whatever, right? When we learned about, we hear the news that the Oaks have been poisoned at Timmer's Corner, it was one of those when you sit back and go, damn, what a piece of shit. That was one of the very few things that I knew about Auburn never having been there. And saying, that was, they're the people that they roll the trees when they win, and they have the eagle that flies for every game. That's all I knew. That's all that CBS hyped up on college game, or ESPN did on College Game Day, and all that CBS hyped up pregame. And that's what I knew about Auburn. It was disappointing to the rest of the college football world because we were like, hey man, what the hell? College football is built on the premise of tradition. It's different from putting your team's jersey on an iconic statue. That's funny. That's really funny. Defacing something like that was horrible. And quite frankly, whenever I found out that he who was damn near Voldemort in Auburn, he who must not be named, was arrested, I was like, yeah, freaking good. He's a freaking boneheaded idiot. So that's all I have to say about that. But it's pretty cool.
I don't think there's a name out there that would get Auburn fans more upset than that name. I don't even like saying it. It hurts me to say.
I just don't know how you could be so stupid to do something like that and then go and get on Fine Bob and brag about it.
Yeah.
To make it more of a happy memory, I will say in 2011 after A-Day was the final rolling of those trees. And I don't think any win can amount to the amount of fans that were at that Tumor's Corner. And just everybody's rolling trees. I think that was actually the first time I ever rolled the trees was on the last day that those trees were going to be standing. And that will always be, what's the word whenever you painfully good memories, it hurts, but it's good. Bittersweet memory is just rolling those trees. And looking back, it kind of makes me tear up a little bit. That was the last time those trees stood. But I will always enjoy that I did have a chance to roll the original trees that were there.
Now you get a chance to roll the descendants of those trees for the first time this year, which is super, super exciting. As we move on, big time, huge news, awesome news to hear out of Auburn this year. Before we get into Theoretical Thursday, though, I was just wondering if Daniel, are you feeling a little loopy?
A little bit.
You could be feeling a little loopy. You know what would make you feel more loopy is if you were rocking, and we've all got them. We should be rocking them right now. But your very own College Loop, the War Report Podcast Network, co-branded, throw it up on the screen, though. Feeling Loopy t-shirts. They're on sale for $25. We got 5 different colorways on the warreport.com. The most comfortable shirt you will ever rock. And that's just a money-back guarantee. Actually, not money-back guarantee, but it's a guarantee. And when I tell you guys I'm saying that this is the most comfortable shirt ever, I know that you think that I'm sounding salesy, and I want you to go buy this awesome, badass t-shirt. But realistically, this is actually super, super comfortable. They don't shrink. They run true to size, and they don't fade in the wash. They don't lose any kind of texture in the wash. It stays just as comfortable. I've washed mine a million times. I know Dylan's washed his a million times. Daniel, I'm adding you up as well. I live in that shirt, truthfully. And
mine's in the washer as we speak.
Yeah, I live in that thing. So go get your own Feeling Loopy t-shirt at www.thewarreport.com. It'll also be linked in the description if you're watching on YouTube. And while you're not in the description, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Fellas, it's time for everybody's favorite part of the week. It's time for Theoretical Thursday. Dylan and I were kind of racking our brains, Daniel, and I know that you're going to kind of chime in a little bit later in this segment, and that's fine, about what we wanted to talk about. And this is just something that I think that I've seen emerge on Twitter and on social medias within the Auburn community and within the college football community in general. I want to go back to 2004. I was about 4 years old when all this happened, so obviously I have to learn this all retroactively and go back and watch the film and do my homework. But Dill, let's go back for a minute and talk about what if Auburn is selected over Oklahoma to take on USC and things shake out differently with that BCS national championship. First off, we'll start from the point, could Auburn have beaten that USC team? And then we're going to roll and spend the majority of this, and I'm talking about the hypothetical domino effect. But, Dylan, could Auburn in 2004 have beaten the 2004 Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, USC Trojans?
I'll start off by saying that when you talk about how this game would have been different if Auburn would have been there instead of OU, definitely would have been a whole lot closer. And that's relatively speaking because the game was 55-19.
Sure.
I'm sure it was a very boring game to watch for anyone outside those two fan bases. Probably depressing for one, enjoyable for the other one. Probably depressing for two because Auburn should have been there. And I say that to say this. Auburn, I believe, with the defense that they had a very good chance of beating that USC team. And that's Carlos Rogers. That's Carlos Dansby. I'm trying to remember the DT's name, and it's blanking on. I had it in my brain, and it went away. Junior Rose Green, a guy who almost killed a man who played for Georgia, and with that infamous hit. If you've not seen that, go watch that because that was always a fun memory to watch back in the day. But I think this Auburn defense would have held Reggie Bush, or at least would have slowed him down. And again, I don't think Matt Leinart was all that great of a quarterback. I've seen the Pac-12 was very, 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 very weak defensively, as they have been for the better half of the century. But I definitely think this Auburn team definitely would have, if not won, they would have lost by maybe a touchdown or 3 points. Like, I don't think this game would have been very close to the end.
I agree. It would be closer. I don't know that anybody's beating that 04 USC team, man. That 04 that era of USC football that I refer to as not the Reggie Bush, not the Matt Leinart, not even the Carson Palmer era. I refer to that as the Snoop Dogg era in USC. Hard to look and say that they wouldn't have won that game. 2004 quarterback at Oklahoma, bonus points if anyone knows this, by the way.
Do what?
Does anyone know the Oklahoma quarterback in 2004?
Oh, Jason White.
Jason White. So you certainly get an upgrade if you put Auburn in there.
Well, Jason White did win a Heisman.
I'm talking about 2004.
He won 03 though.
Yeah. Okay. I'm telling you, in terms of schematic game management and fit in that scheme, in that year, I still think that the edge goes Auburn there.
Mm-hmm.
You have a two-head monster running back for Auburn. You mentioned that pre-show. I still just don't know, man. I mean, Matt Leinart was a dog. That was his Heisman year. Reggie Bush comes back and wins and still has the Heisman the next year, by the way. Just throwing that out there in my book. In the H-Tarr book of Heismans, that one belongs to Reggie Bush, and I'm not taking it. But it's tough for me to look and say that anyone was beating that USC team. Probably the best defense in the history of USC football, period. A prolific offense. I don't know. Closer for sure. One-score ball game, quite possibly. I still go edge USC. The bigger picture question here, Dylan, and here's where Daniel I know is gonna fall in. How does that affect if Auburn goes and let's say they do win that ball game, and that they are the 2004 national champions?
Just claim it. Just claim it. Please just claim it.
I know that.
Love of God, just claim it.
I knew you were going to say that. How does that change, if it does at all, the future of Auburn football?
Well,
who's going first?
Daniel, I'll let you go.
Daniel, it's yours.
All right. So, Tommy Tuberville, junior senator now senior senator from the U.S. Senator from the state of Alabama, is held in a lot higher regard in college football circles. Thank you for making me feel dumb. Okay.
I wasn't being smart. I was saying
what did Auburn do in 2005? I know you beat Alabama, but
they would have. I think they 9-3.
Okay,
they went 9-3 that year. It's still
that's seen as the most. That's seen as the most disappointing 9-3 ever. But then beyond that,
I don't say that's so disappointing. 9-3. You lose Jason Campbell, you lose Cadillac, you lose Ronnie, You lose, I think, Courtney Taylor, Devin Aroma-Shadu, Ben Abamano.
Okay, fine.
Carlos
Fine. Not
Dansby.
disappointing 9-3. Yes, I surrendered.
I'm with you.
Anyway, I don't think Tuberville gets the axe after 08, just because in that era of college football, coaches' leashes just tended to be a little bit longer.
Sure.
History backs that claim up.
Circa Mark Richt.
Right. Then you have to wonder, does Gene Chizik ever get a chance? Like, does Gene Chizik ever get hired at Auburn? Which kind of leads into, does Gus Malzahn ever get hired at Auburn? So you really kind of think like that. Cam Newton probably doesn't end up in Auburn in this scenario. I mean, maybe he still does, but things look a lot different.
I'm so glad you went down that avenue, truthfully, because Daniel, for maybe the first time ever on this podcast, I'm going to sit here and hit retweet on everything you just said. I was in that.
Oh, that's a nice change of pace.
I know it's different. It's wild, and Dylan's about to fundamentally disagree with both of us, and that's okay. But I entirely, wholeheartedly agree. You don't get Tommy Tuberville getting backdoor for sure. Yeah,
terminology I was getting ready for someone to use.
His leash remains longer because then the counterpoint will always be, well, Tommy Tuberville won us a national championship, and he didn't lose to Alabama very often. And then you look at the domino effect. Gene Chizik probably doesn't fall in the right place, which means you never get Cam Newton, which means you probably don't win the 2010 national championship.
Mm-hmm.
Also means you, like you said, probably never wind up with Gus Malzahn. It is. I'm not saying Auburn football would be in the shitter. That's not at all what I'm saying. But it would look completely different. It is crazy how the BCS formula, simply leaving Auburn out of that game, quite possibly has a larger overarching effect 20 years later, 20 years later, than we could ever imagine. And I think that, Daniel, I think you hit the nail on the head. Dylan, tell me why I'm wrong.
I was like, before I do, I'm just going to go and correct myself. Devin Aroma-Shadu, Courtney Taylor, and Ben Amano were on the 2005 team. They just had very down years because it was a down year for the passing game. But Kenny Irons did have a great year running the ball. Just got to correct myself on that. They were just very absent from the stat sheet. But I look at it. Does Tommy Tuberville's ego increase if he wins the national championship a little bit more?
Sure.
Wholeheartedly.
He went 9-3, then he went 11-2 in 06, and followed by 9-4 in 07, then 5-7 in 2008. Does the domino really affect him that much if his ego gets a little bit higher? Maybe that pushes Auburn to fire him a little quicker. Just trying to get a guy who is a little egotistical out of the way, because and no one was happy that Tommy Tuberville got fired, and he got fired in the worst way possible, and it's kind of the same thing as what was looking like it was going to happen with Gus, that Kevin Steele was trying to backdoor Gus Malzahn. And the fun thing about that is Kevin Steele's a terrible head football coach, and Miami, terrible defensive coordinator in Miami. But I don't think the domino affects Tommy Tuberville's tenure at Auburn that much lengthwise. And if he wins a natty, I mean, yeah, maybe just keep him there for another year. But I mean, he went 9-3, 11-2, and 9-4. I mean, those are great records no matter what. And his last year was 5-7 because he was just tired of it all, because Auburn tried to get Bobby Petrino over him, and pre-motorcycle incident with Bobby Petrino. I don't know if it affects his tenure that much, because it was more of a mixture of Tommy Tuberville's ego and Auburn just goofing. And that time just worked out perfectly. And then you kind of the pieces kind of fell into your hands, and Gene Chizik kind of just came to Auburn off of vibes. You know, he was the 04 defensive coordinator. So you bring in the defensive coordinator who was very bad at Iowa State. And then you kind of find your way with Cam Newton, with Gus Malzahn, and then everything kind of falls into place. I don't think the 04 national championship, if Auburn were to get it, I don't think it changes the landscape of Auburn football whatsoever.
I don't know, man. The butterfly effect is one hell of a thing.
I'm
It
with
is.
you. I'm
It
so
is.
with you.
It is, but I think it's just Tommy Tuberville's ego. It just is so great that it doesn't affect the butterfly's wing whatsoever. It kind of just stays the same. The tides stay the same.
Daniel, what Dylan's saying is that Tommy Tuberville was an NPC.
Yeah, and he also thinks that the three branches of government are presidency, the Senate, and the House. So, I mean,
Well, he's a great football coach, but his ego got to him, and that is the reason he got backdoored. And it sucked for both parties. It sucked for the fan base to have to watch that happen. And I think the time that it happened would stay the same.
I like both.
wait, I have one more question. If he wins the 04 Natty, gets there, wins it, is he a United States Senator from the state of Alabama almost 20 years later?
Now we're asking the real
I feel
question.
like that's the real question.
I follow up potential future theoretical Thursday. Not actually, but let me say this dumb quote for a second. What if Tommy Tuberville pine boxed Auburn?
What if he ran for senator while he was the coach at Auburn? The first ever coach senator.
That's right. That's right. That's just a concept that we haven't explored. Up next show, we're going to talk positional preview, and you freaking guessed it. It's going to be quarterbacks.
It's the last one. I saved it for last. It's the one everyone wants
We
to
were
hear
hoping
about.
to have some answers by now, to be fair.
I was hoping I could hold it off long enough that a starter would be named, but I don't think we're going to hear who the starting quarterback is until someone comes out in the field under center versus UMass. And it might even be a Holden Gardner situation last year where he was just named a starting quarterback on the Jumbotron, and then he just didn't start the game.
That's no fault of Rick Smith, by the way. He's a perfect prince that would do nothing.
It's definitely going to be starting a quarterback, Peyton Thorne or Robbie Ashford or Holden Gardner or Hank Brown.
Well, no, it's not Rick's fault at all. They say their name in the video. Rick doesn't say their name.
That's true. And he's a perfect prince.
It's whoever got fired hours later from the Point Productions for editing it together.
That's true. That's true.
But it will be interesting to watch the 5-man front at the O-line, followed by 4 quarterbacks snapping the ball to each other.
It's gonna be awesome.
And then handing off to Jarquez Hunter, who would now be 15 yards behind the offensive line.
And we'll still have a gain of 3.5 yards.
Exactly.
That's you know what, you got a good point.
Rush 18 to get through.
We're gonna pivot from Auburn football. We're gonna talk hardwood hoops. We're gonna talk Auburn men's basketball, and we're actually gonna talk a little women's basketball here in a minute. We're gonna talk Auburn men's basketball right here on the College Loop. Flory Badunga commits on Saturday, folks. How we feel?
Pretty good. I'll go first. I had the opportunity to briefly talk to Flory when he was in Auburn for it was one of those Friday night games. Very good guy. Had a good conversation, and I really hope that he chooses to come to Auburn.
Right on. Yeah, Dylan?
He is currently crystal ball to Duke, and I've seen some Duke fans on some message boards that are a little upset at the fact that he's considering Auburn because, Hugh Freeze and Bruce Pearl together are a bunch of scumbags type.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze is really worried about basketball recruiting, folks. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Auburn being in the race for Flory Badunga is enough for me to be excited about it. Because, I mean, it's just 5 blue bloods all in the same category together. Duke, Kansas, Auburn, Michigan, and who's the other one? There was another blue blood in there somewhere. But Auburn is there.
You're telling me you have the time to go check out Duke message boards?
No, it was on Twitter. Someone else screenshotted it and it came up. It's just a bunch of guys complaining that.
That's what he wants you to think.
I don't have the time to dedicate to go reading all through message boards.
Also committing this week, Cam Scott. How we feeling? I actually feel better about Cam Scott.
I feel way more confident about Cam Scott
than
I do.
I believe in the human touch, and I've never had a conversation with Cam Scott, so I'm not really at liberty to discuss.
The Creed reference is crazy, bro. That was crazy.
Cam Scott currently no crystal balls for him, though. So I don't know. We're seeing eye emojis all over the place on Auburn Twitter, so maybe it's for Cam Scott.
Maybe it's for orange jerseys.
Not again, bro. Cam Scott, I feel actually much better about him than I do Flory Bianca. And we'll find out on Friday. I'm not crystal balling anyone ever again. We've learned this. But I feel
Friday and Saturday for the two of them.
That's right. Some other men's hoops news. Auburn will play Notre Dame in the first round of the 2023 Legends Classic at the Barclays Center. I would like to take you guys back just briefly about this tournament. Last time Auburn was there, they won it. The year it was 2020. No.
Do you want me to? Do you know who they're playing? I can tell you who they're going to play the winner of.
So I was going to say, go ahead and tell me who Auburn's going to play the winner.
They'll play the winner of Oklahoma State versus Saint Bonavere.
Awesome, great. Auburn won this last time they were there. I believe it was 2019 actually with Isaac Okoro. So that was immediately after Auburn was named by a local TV station the Sex Champions instead of the SEC Champions. And that's not me making a joke, folks. This actually happened. And just for those of you guys who are not familiar, the Legends Classic is sponsored by Roman, which is for men, if you will. So the Sex Champions won the Romans Legends Classic, as if anyone was surprised by that happening. Just one of my personal favorite side notes about that 2019 team is that happened. And no, Dylan, you don't have to edit this out. These are all facts.
Yeah, the news said it.
I mean, the news. I want to find the intern that screwed that up.
He's currently looking for a job.
And I'm going to employ him. I'm going to give him a chance because he needs to know that what he did was hilarious. And it was not offensive. But yeah.
If we hire him at the College Loop, I will be proofreading every single graphic he made.
No, I will not allow you to. We're just going to see what happens.
It is worth mentioning, this is going to be the first time Auburn has played Notre Dame in literally any sport, or not the second time Auburn's played Notre Dame literally any sport. The last time being in 1994 when they played Notre Dame in baseball, where Auburn won 8-0.
The only time since any of us have been alive on this podcast on the College Loop that Auburn has played Notre Dame in anything, which is odd for me to think about.
Yeah.
And,
sorry. Do I have the green light here? Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure I wasn't cutting off Harrison Tarr because then I'd feel bad about it for the rest of the night. But this one means a lot in my family, a lot of Notre Dame alum. So I'm excited to kind of finally get to enjoy this because, like Harrison just said, we've never seen the two face off in the sport in our lives. So hopefully I'll be.
I hope your Notre Dame side of your family is upset that night.
I don't know why you're apologizing. They don't like me anyway. So yeah. Hopefully I'll get to take this one in the Barclays Center and represent the Loop there.
Let's see. That'll be. What's the date on that one?
It's like December something. No, November. What am I thinking?
Tragic. Okay, just other scheduling news. This has kind of been on the books for a little while, but we haven't really talked about it here on the Loop. Auburn will play in Huntsville on December 13th against UNC Asheville, which is super cool that Auburn's going to get to play up in Huntsville, just for the fact that there's a shitload of Auburn grad engineers that are up there, and it's always cool when they get to go into their backyard. Let's flip.
You get baseball in Huntsville. You can get basketball in Huntsville. Next up, Auburn football is hosting a game in UAH's football stadium.
Let's do it.
UAH doesn't have football.
We'll find one.
UNA.
There we go.
We can make UNA happen.
We have blood up there. Deshaun Davis and Kerryon Johnson both coach there.
That's right.
We can get in there.
That's right. Other news. We're flipping over to women's hoops. Talking women's hoops in August. Women's basketball in August got a 63-57 win overseas versus the Paris All-Stars. It was the Marshawn Bostic show, folks. I want you to know, this is a Marshawn Bostic fan account, by the way. The College Loop is the Marshawn Bostic fan account. Finished with 17 points, 10 assists, along with 6 steals and 4 rebounds. Hi. Hello. Let's go. Coach Day, super happy with the effort. Also kind of noted that a large part, without saying the reason that it was so close, kind of said that she wanted to make sure that the younger players and new additions to the team got minutes. Super, super important. Overseas trips can be so valuable for programs like Auburn Women's Hoops, especially where they're at right and being able to figure out, where you are preseason, getting to actually play other opponents, regardless of quality of opponent, whatever you want to look at that, however you want to look at that. Fellas, this is encouraging, right?
Oh yeah, and also to mention Savannah Scott also having a great game in her debut as an Auburn Tiger. 10.6 boards for the 6'5", and I'm trying to remember what grade year she's in. She had
transfer junior, right?
I think transfer junior. But I mean, you finally have a big who can get boards, and that's exciting.
Well, that's actually not that new. Unique Thompson wasn't that long ago, but
it's new for the past 2 years.
True.
3. When did Unique leave?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah, new for the past 2 years.
Yeah. Daniel, your thoughts?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Daniel said thumbs up. We'll continue to give you guys updates on women's basketball's trip overseas over in France as they continue to progress through their shortened, I guess, not abbreviated, but their small window that they can operate in. Like I said, these overseas trips are so tremendously valuable. We talk about it from men's hoops all the time. Women's hoops maybe arguably benefit from it more. And that's just big time, especially where Coach Jay's at going into year 3 in her tenure. We're kind of starting to expect, okay, let's see some competing in the SEC, which we did see some last year. Certainly going to help them. And Dylan, go ahead.
And it's worth mentioning that these trips are always good for chemistry.
Yes, so important for team chemistry, which Auburn lacked in that department last year. Super, super important. I also am immensely looking forward to the inevitable goofy videos we get of Odyssey Scott Grayson just doing dumb shit in France. We're going to get them. I don't know when they're coming.
I wonder if did she even play? Surely she didn't even play, right? Yeah, you don't want to get your best player injured.
I'm sure she will. I'm sure she'll get minutes. But I didn't see any kind of line from her this evening.
Like 5, possibly.
But I'm sure there will be dumb shit videos from Odyssey Scott Grayson, and I'm immensely looking forward to them. She's a goofball and one of the most fun players on that team from a personality perspective and talent.
And if we're done talking about women's basketball, just shoot it over to another Auburn sport that's going on and just finished as we are speaking. Auburn soccer finished out with a draw with Mercer in a game that got delayed, I think, twice.
It did.
Bringing two parties together, both of them led by Harrison Tarr, with
That's
Mercer
right.
blood and the Auburn blood. So.
That's right. Daniel Locke, tell everybody where they can find you. I love you, support you as we bring this one to a close.
You can find my written work for 1819 News or for the Auburn Daily, or if you're a Braves fan, Braves Today, you can follow me on Twitter at Daniel J. Locke. If you want to send me some good vibes on the Bird app tomorrow, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'll be fighting with Ticketmaster, so a very stressful day ahead. So send me all the good vibes.
All the vibes sent to you, Dylan. Not Dylan, excuse me, Daniel. All the good ones. All the bad ones sent to Dylan.
You've literally been doing that for like a year and a half.
Dude, look. I co-host a podcast with Dylan Larck and Daniel Locke. It's tough. It's tough on me. All right, I need you guys to cut me some slack here. I do it.
Not any whatsoever.
You guys are assholes. I'm Harrison Tarr at by Harrison Tarr on the Bird app. If you want to come hang out at by Harrison Tarr on Threads. Other than that, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us right here on the College Look. We appreciate you.
This man just promoted his Threads.
He keeps doing it.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I need you to quit doing it.
I'm gonna keep doing it just to piss you off.
Threads.
Thank you guys for giving us all the love and support that you have. Make sure you go grab your Feeling Loopy t-shirts. Those are in the description. $25. Comfy shirt you'll ever own. You can go grab them at thewarreport.com. Pick one of your 5, or pick all 5 colors if you can't decide which one you want. And make sure you get one of those set up before football season starts. While you're here, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell. If you're going to follow all the social medias, Dylan's about to plug to you guys. All the love and peace and happiness. And I hope you find everything you want in the rest of this week. We will see you guys on Sunday.
And with all that, I'm Dylan Larck at You Boy the Tank on X. And if you're looking for it, it's just right there. X will remain as the only social media that we will Twitter-like social media that we will always publish, because I refuse to put the College Loop on Threads. I ain't that desperate. And you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok,
and
right here on YouTube. And you can also find us here on YouTube. You can like, comment, and subscribe. Leave some questions. Leave some Theoretical Thursdays. Leave us some input. We love hearing from y'all on the show. And if you want to listen to us, if you're tired of our faces, you can go to Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, but pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. But with all that being said, it's been the College Loop Podcast.